Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite ways to make simple, easy pork ribs on my Masterbuilt smoker. You can make your ribs on any kind of a smoker or even in your oven, but I'm going to be using my Masterbuilt electric smoker today. So I wanted to share with you this amazing recipe because it's so simple and easy. Anyone can do it. They practically cook themselves once you start. One thing you might want to know is it is kind of messy, and if you don't want to get meat all over your kitchen, wear some disposable gloves before you start. So realize that the first thing to achieve maximum flavor is choosing the right kind of meat. Then you want to choose the right kind of rub, the right kind of smoke, and then the sauce at the end. So there are two kinds of ribs that are good for smoking. And there would be the baby back ribs and the St. Louis style ribs, which I'm preparing today. They're a little meatier, they have more fat, they take a little longer to cook, but you use the same technique for either kind of ribs. There are a few short steps you need to take to prepare the meat for your rub. You have to make sure the meat is ready. Sometimes when it comes from the butcher, it still has something called a silver skin on it, which is a thin film on the back. You need to make certain that you remove that because it keeps the rubs from penetrating the full flavor throughout all of your rib. So you want to flip it over and you want to look. And if you see, this side of it is all meaty and moist looking, and this side has a film. That's the silver skin. Once you flip it over, if you see there's silver skin, you take an oyster knife or a clean Phillips head screwdriver. Don't use a sharp knife, you don't want to cut your meat. And then you want to dig down in here and pull this silver skin loose from the ribs. Next, you take a clean paper towel, you lay it over it, and then you get a hold of the silver skin, as big a handful as you can, and you pull as hard as you can to pull it off. My meat is prepared. I'm going to now apply the rub. Rub is very important. You want to use a dry spiced rub. Spices have resins in it, and the resins will penetrate into the meat, which is why it's very important that after you apply it, you let it rest for 12 to up to 24 hours in the refrigerator so that all the flavors can fully penetrate into your meat. So when it comes to rubs, you can make your own, or you can buy one that's already prepared. I recently went on a trip to Texas and I visited the Salt Lick, and I love Texas barbecue. I'm not sure if it's the best, but I'm thinking it might be. So I bought some of their dry rub, and it says the last bit of Texas in Austin. But this is an awkward container, so I took an old empty spice bottle with a shaker top, and I added the rub into here and put the top back on so that I can easily sprinkle it all evenly over my meat. And you want to make sure you get all of it covered nice and evenly. Then you want to turn it over, whoops, and finish the other side. It's important that you do both sides thoroughly so that the resins and flavors will penetrate all the way through your ribs. Make sure you cover all of the surfaces, including any chubby edges, and then don't rub it in. You want to let it soak in on its own. I have it all rubbed. I'm going to wrap it up. So you want to get out your plastic wrap. Take a nice long piece. I love this kind because when I cut it, it actually comes apart and doesn't tangle up. You want to make sure all of it is wrapped up completely so that none of it will get dried out. So cover every square little inch of your meat. And now you want to put it in the refrigerator until you're ready to smoke it. I've taken the ribs out of the refrigerator. I'm letting them come up to room temperature and rest. It's very important that you bring them to room temperature. You don't put them in the smoker cold. While they're coming up to temperature, I'm going to go outside and get the smoker ready. I put foil down in front of it because it makes a big mess, so be sure you do that to keep things clean. Then I put foil over the drip tray in the bottom. I'm going to pull out the chip tray and I'm going to keep this out. Once it gets up to temperature, then I'll load it with the chips that have been soaked and add that in. I'm going to remove the trays because I'm only going to use one of them today. My rack of ribs is going to fit on one, so the others I'll be leaving them out. I'm going to put my aluminum pan right here on top of the smoker unit to catch any other drips. Then I'm going to take one rack in the house, load it with my meat, and put it in once it's up to temperature. It's easier to load it in the kitchen with a big piece of meat and then just slide it in at once. I'm going to turn on the machine. I'm going to set the temperature for 200. Oops. And then I'm going to set the time for 8 hours. I'm going to check them a few times. I don't think it will take quite that long, but I don't want the timer to turn off before I'm done. So you can see it started, and it should be heating up pretty quick. While your smoker's coming up to temperature, begin soaking your chips. I'm going to use a combination of mesquite and apple. Sometimes I use pecan. Fruit woods work well with pork. So I want to use about 2 scoops of the mesquite and about 4 scoops of the apple. I find that if I soak them well, I don't need to add liquid. I keep the damper open about a quarter of the way, and then it leaves enough moisture in it to keep the food moist and not dried out, just smoked and delicious. My meat is up to room temperature, and now the ribs are a little too long for the smoker, but that's not a problem. I'm going to cut them in half and lay the 2 halves sideways on the rack. So you want to find about the middle, and you want to figure out where's a piece of the meat between the bones. Then you want to slide your knife forward. Get your muscles into it and cut it in half. Then I can just lay it, the 2 pieces, right on the rack. Now when you're taking the rack outside, remember the front of the rack has a lip that rolls up, so when you get in there and it's hot, don't get mixed up because you don't want to burn yourself inserting this into your smoker. It only takes 10 or 15 minutes for the smoker to get up to temperature. So now I'm going to load up my chips into the tray. And you want to try to, don't overfill it or you'll have trouble sliding it in. Try to keep them underneath this lip right here. Then it's hot, so you want to open it carefully. Oh, look at that. That's fabulous. And you want to slide this in down here. Then you want to close it up quickly so you don't let the temperature get out. And get ready to put in your meat. It's come up to temperature, and I have the damper at about 25% so you can see the smoke is coming out. So it's ready for me to insert my rack of ribs. I'm going to only use the 1 rack today, so I'm going to put it on the very top shelf area so that I don't have to worry about rotating them or anything like that. It'll cook nice and evenly. So I'm going to open it up and put it in. The ribs are in the smoker. It should take from 4 to 6 hours. I'm going to check them after 4 hours and see how they're coming. Every maybe 60 or 90 minutes, I'm going to come out and add some more chips. Depending on the thickness of your meat, it will depend how long it takes it to cook. These are St. Louis style, so they're a little thicker, so sometimes that takes longer. And that's why sometimes you need to check. So you can practically set it and forget it because the Masterbuilt is that simple. After 6 hours, my ribs are done. The way you know is to pull them out and look at the bones and wiggle them. And you can tell that the meat would come right apart and this would just be melt in your mouth, soft and tender. Let them rest for 10 to 20 minutes. Then get your favorite barbecue sauce, whether it's one you choose from the store or a recipe that you make yourself. Gather your friends and dig in. Please let me know what your favorite sauce is. And if you'd like to continue to receive updates from Alaska Granny, please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel. Have a wonderful day.